Share your mind.
Good evening. It's Tuesday, May 27th, and I'm going to call this council meeting to order. I'm so used to calling the committee of the whole, but it's council. So we'll start with attendance. We have regrets from Councillor Remy and Mayor Zabian, and Councillor Larry Pinch is going to be approximately 5 minutes late. So we have quorum, so we'll continue on. Two announcements. I have a couple. West Hants Regional Municipality is in Mi'kma'ki, the ancestral and unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq people. This land is governed by the Treaties of Peace and Friendship signed in 1726. West Hants Regional Municipality recognizes we are all treaty people and have responsibilities to this land and each other. West Hants Regional Municipality also recognizes African Nova Scotian are a distinct people whose history, legacies, and contributions have enriched that part of Mi'kma'ki known as Nova Scotia for over 400 years. This council and I as chair are committed to ensuring this meeting and its participants conduct themselves in a respectful and professional manner as outlined in the municipality's municipal code of conduct. Meeting presenters, staff, and the public are expected to conduct themselves in an equally respectful manner at all times the meeting is being conducted. I thank you all in advance for your commitment to these important meeting principles. Okay, council, any announcements? I have a couple I'll start with. Newport Station Community Hall grand opening is June 8th. They have a ticket auction from 10 onwards. The draw will be at 4 p.m. and there's a barbecue from 11 to 2. And this Sunday, June 1st, from 5 to 6 at the waterfront is the Pride flag raising, and there is a barbecue as well. Councillor Paul Wheaton.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Just to let everybody know that this Saturday, Eller's House Community Hall is breakfast, 7:30 to 10:30. And as always, it's a goodwill offering.
Great.
Thank you.
Councillor John Smith.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I'd just like to congratulate Erica Swinemer. She was named Rookie of the Year for St. Thomas University Women's Soccer for 2024-2025.
Oh, very good. Councillor Paul Morton.
Just a reminder that next weekend's the Passant annual yard sale. They're going to be a barbecue there for fundraising. There'll be singers. Myself will be there. If you want some entertainment, stop in.
Sounds good. Are you singing or just entertaining?
I can do about anything.
Perfect. We'll send everyone to see you. Any other announcements? Seeing none, we'll continue on. Approval of the agenda, including any additions or deletions. So the agenda has been sent around. So no additions or deletions. It'll be accepted as submitted. Any questions on dashboard items, information log, or dangerous or unsightly? Councillor McLean.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor, through you to the CAO. I just had a question on the street light at the head of the trail in Brooklyn off Chambers Road. I'm just curious where we're at with that.
We have the director and manager here. I think we're waiting for some tree pruning. Is that what we're doing? We're waiting for tree pruners, so we're having a contractor do that, or are we doing that internally?
Sorry, a contractor will be completing the tree pruning. Once that is done, Nova Scotia Power will be notified. They had some work to do on their end as well, but they probably have that completed by now, because right now I think the only thing is the having the tree pruned so that, or removed, so that they can have that installed.
All right, thanks.
Okay. Thank you.
Anything else? Seeing no lights, we'll move on to 5, declaration of conflict of interest. Does any councillors? Oh, sorry, John, did you have a question or no? Okay. Any declaration of conflicts of interest? Seeing none, we'll move along to 6, approval of previous meeting minutes. A, 2025-04-22 council minutes. B, 2025-04-22 public hearing minutes, College Road, Windsor PID 454-05784, rezoning and WHLUB amendments. NC 2025-04-22, public hearing minutes, 31 Lakewood Drive, Brooklyn, PID 45017-183 rezoning. Was there anything on any of those you wanted to note it? Otherwise, the minutes are approved as circulated. Seeing none, no lights. Okay, we'll move right along. 7, new business. It's been moved up on the agenda tonight. So we'll start with A, Provincial Representative Volunteer Award Recommendation Report. Kathy Johnson-Honsner, please.
Good evening, Deputy Mayor and Council. Before you is a recommendation report for the 2025 Provincial Representative Volunteer Award for the West Hants Regional Municipality. Each year, our community nominates deserving volunteers who receive municipal recognition. Through online voting, Council has identified Rob Davies as this year's Volunteer of the Year to represent West Hants at the Provincial Volunteer Award ceremony in September. Are there any questions on the recommendation report?
Any questions on this? Seeing none, I'll thank you, Kathy.
Thanks.
And we'll look for a motion.
That council approves the nomination of Rob Davies for the 2025 Provincial Representative Volunteer Award for the West Hants Regional Municipality.
Made by Councillor Larry Pinch, seconded by Councillor Paul Morton. Clerk, can we get that up for a vote, please? Motion carried. Congratulations, Rob. We'll move right along to 7B, Rail Trail Corridor Culvert Replacement Recommendation Report. Kevin Bennett.
Good evening, Deputy Mayor and Council. On behalf of the Community Development Department, we ask that Council, 1, approves the award of tender WHRM CD 25-01 RFP to United Structures Limited for the culvert replacement on the Manaway to Stanley Trail in the amount of $456,675 plus applicable taxes. And 2, that Council approves a contingency in the amount of $91,335 for the project plus applicable taxes.
Council, do we have any questions on this? Councillor Yanish.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor, Chair. Just a question. Is the culvert the same as the bridge, or are those two completely separate projects? I think there's a bridge on that trail as well.
2 different projects.
Thank you.
This is the large washout that you may or may not have seen just in off the road. There's some pictures in the attachment.
Thanks.
Councillor Larry Pinch.
Thank you. Through you, Chair, to, I don't know if you're Manager Bennett, no. Is this provided by the DFA, Disaster Financial Assistance Funding, like cover the total cost is what I understood from this report? So we've already received the funds to cover the cost of this repair, or is that my misinterpretation?
I think through Director Roshan, I think this, from the budgetary side of things, included in the 2025-26 West Hants Regional Municipality capital budget, staff has recommended 130,000 plus the 450,191 carry forward from the previous budget to be allocated to this project, which was from the Disaster Financial Assistance or DFA funding.
Director Rashawn's gonna.
Sure. So we have not received the funding yet. It is part of an application process. So we have sought mitigation funding for this one, and it was approved. So it's approved already through them. It's just we haven't completed the project because one of the requirements is we have all of our invoices and everything to submit with it.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions? Counselor Ivy, did you have a question?
Well, there is a reference to a report that was attached from a design point, but there was nothing attached. There was a recalculation, but it's in reference to a firm that was taken off the list. I don't think it's really relevant to what we're deciding here is why I flicked the light off, but
Okay.
should it be there or is it?
I'll have to ask the CAO maybe if it's supposed to be.
Yeah, again, I think Counselor Ivy is just noting sometimes the individual scores and some of that is part of the evaluation process. So there may be something we could share, but we probably have to do a little redacting. So no, but as is noted in the report, Design Point did do some calculation errors and there was a disqualification as well. That's why the firm that's being recommended is being recommended. Yeah.
Okay. Counselor McLean.
Thank you, Deputy, through you to manager. I just was looking at the bids here, and there's pretty close to like 10,000 in the difference between the selected bid and the next bid. Is there like I don't see the report because Counselor Ivy just mentioned it. I don't see like that's pretty close in the price. I was just curious, like, why didn't like. How do I put it? Yeah, I don't have the report to actually look at it. So
Which two are you referring to?
it was United Structures and Bryson Developments.
The tenders were all reviewed and scored by Design Point. So they would have went through all the tenders, did all the calculations, compared all the calculations, and based on process, through that process, to Mark's point, they had found 7 calculation errors in the lowest bid, which moved them to the next bid. So really, at the end of the day, Design Point's recommending the next.
Okay. No, thank you.
Any other questions? Being none, thank you, Manager Bennett. There is 2 motions. If anyone would like, Counselor Larry Pinch.
So that council approves the award of tender WHRM CD 25-01 RFP to United Structures Limited for the culvert replacement on the Manawa to Stanley Trail in the amount of $456,675 plus applicable taxes.
Second.
Moved by Counselor Larry Pinch, seconded by Counselor Paul Morton. We'll put that to vote, please. Motion carried. There's a second motion there too, Counselor Larry Pinch.
That council approves a contingency amount of $91,335 for the project plus applicable taxes.
Second.
Made by Counselor Larry Pinch, seconded by Counselor Paul Morton. We'll put that to a vote, please. Motion carried. Thank you, everybody. So we'll move along. 8 public hearings. We have none this evening. Second readings. Oh, sorry, I have one more. See, I had already put my line. Thank you, everybody. 60 Old Watton Road, Upper Burlington Development Agreement, Planner Hong. Can't leave you out, Planner Hong.
Okay, thank you, Deputy Mayor, and good evening, Council. So tonight's first reading is about 60 Old Watton Road in Upper Burlington, and this is a development agreement application. So just a bit background, a complete application was received from Matthew Moore on February 3rd this year, and the application was to consider permitting an automotive repair shop by development agreement. And this is the ortho photo of the subject lot. the property is currently used as a personal residence with an existing automotive repair business operating out of the garage. And nearby properties consist of single unit residence, a community center, and also some farms. And this is the generalized future land use map of the West Hands municipal planning strategy, which indicates that the designation for this property and the surrounding properties are agriculture. And this map shows the current zoning, which is the agriculture priority 2, which allows a range of agriculture related uses, also churches, community center, fire halls, forestry and forestry related activities, and also residential uses as well. And here is a picture of the proposed development location on the subject lot. As mentioned, the repair shop will be running out of the garage as shown in this picture. And here is another picture showing the old Walton Road from the subject driveway. So the enabling policies in the West Hands municipal plan strategy for this application primarily is policy 8.9.4, and the criteria of this policy have considered met since the submitted agrologist report concludes that the subject lot is not well suited for any agriculture purposes. The proposed development will not compromise the surrounding properties regarding their operation or integrity of agriculture activities. The proposed development is not one which, by virtue of size or nature, would be more appropriately located in a growth center, village, or hamlet, and the Nova Scotia Department of Public Works confirmed the existing access is acceptable for the proposed development. And the other policy we look at for this application is 8.6.1, which sets the requirements for the agrologist report. And the policy has been considered met since the report states that the subject lot is constrained in terms of the size of the land for agricultural operations. The author of the report is a professional agrologist who performed a site visit last year. The report includes a site plan showing the study area, and the report also identifies site features and reasons that the subject lot would not be suitable for agriculture production. And here is the site plan provided by the agrologist, which again shows there are 2 access points onto the old Walton Road from the subject lot, and also owner lives on this property. And the garage is approximately 70 feet from the right lot line and 200 feet from the rear lot line. And the final policy is 16.3.1, which contains general criteria for this development agreement application. And the criteria have been considered met since the proposal is not considered premature or inappropriate for the area. No municipal costs related to the proposal are anticipated. The development officer, manager of building and fire inspection services, district manager of the Nova Scotia Department of Public Works have no concerns, which has not been addressed in this report. And the only thing I will note is the Brooklyn Fire Chief did not comment on this application, but staff did reach out to the manager of building and fire inspection services, who indicate that a fire inspection will be required on the building being used for this proposed business to ensure compliances with the Fire Safety Act. So in terms of the development agreement as written, it permits an automotive repair shop to be contained entirely within the existing garage. Hours of operation are limited to weekdays from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. There will be a minimum of 3 parking spaces provided, and refuse containers and outdoor parking space are required to be screened from the abutting properties. And the property owner will be responsible for safe storage and disposal of any waste products as a result of this automotive repair business. So through the planning process, we first held the public information meeting on April 2nd. Staff reviewed the file and the PAC made the recommendation on May 8th. So tonight we are at the council for first reading. After that, there will be a public hearing and second reading where council will make their final decision on this application. And if the application was approved by council, the notice of approval will be placed in paper, and that would outline the 14-day appeal period to the Nova Scotia Regulatory and Reviews Board. And this brings my presentation to the end, and happy to answer any questions from council. Thank you.
Thank you, Planner Hong. Is there any questions on this report? Council? Oh, sorry, Councillor John Smith. Sorry, I can't see your light. It was
It's hidden.
hidden. Yeah.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. My question concerns, I guess, the tax base. Would this property, would part of it convert to commercial because it's being used for a business? I'm not sure if Planner Hong's the one to answer that or not.
Through chair to Councillor, I don't have the answer for this question, but I'm not sure if the other staff may.
Perhaps the CAO?
And I may hand it over to the Director of Finance, but I'm going to say probably, in our experience, is that the percentage of the property or the unit associated with commercial activity would normally be deemed that way. Now, PVSC would have to be aware of that, and through our permitting process, they would be, we'll say, informed of the use of that property. But Carly, yes. So Carly's giving me a nod over there. We have a mix of residential and commercial on properties. The percentage square footage would be deemed commercial.
Okay, I was wondering if there was a mechanism to get that converted. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's the permit. Yeah.
Councillor Paul Wheaton.
Yes, thank you, Deputy Mayor, and through you to Planner Hong. I just noticed there it was only Monday to Friday, 8 to 5 is the available days. They're not permitted to open on Saturdays or Sundays in this agreement.
Through chair to councillors' questions, it's a great question. So this is actually the hours of operation is written in this way in consultation with the applicant. So he actually specific asked to be included as written in this. So from only opening on weekdays from 8 to 5 p.m.
Thank you.
Great. Any other questions for Planner Hong? Seeing no more lights, thank you very much, Planner Hong. There is a couple motions. Councillor Larry Pinch.
That council gives first reading and holds a public hearing to consider entering into a development agreement to allow an automotive repair shop at 60 Old Walton Road, Upper Burlington, PID 451-68069, in a manner substantively the same as the draft set out in attachment C of the report filed number 24-11 to the Planning and Heritage Advisory Committee report dated May 8th, 2025.
Second.
Made by Councillor Larry Pinch, seconded by Councillor Scott McLean. We'll put that up for a vote, please. Motion carried. Thank you very much. There's a second motion there, Larry Pinch.
That council requires that the development agreement with Matthew Moore be signed within 120 days from the date of final approval by council or the date that any appeals have been disposed of. Otherwise, this approval will be void and obligations arising hereunder shall be at an end.
Made by Councillor Larry Pinch.
Second.
Seconded by Councillor Scott McLean. We'll put this up, Clerk Snare, for a vote, please. Motion pass. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Planner Hong. Have a good evening. Okay, now we'll move along to 8 public hearings. There are none. Second readings as it pertains to public hearings, and as above, there are none. No unfinished business or postponed motions. The mayor's report. So we had that and the mayor's not here, so we'll keep any questions for him, if there are any for when he returns. Financial updates, we have none. As we all know, we're going through the budget process, so that will resume next month. So we'll move along to Committee of Council excerpts and recommendations. Committee of the Whole experts, May 13th, 2025. And Councillor Paul Morton, if you could read those, please.
Move council approve the Cole Drive Flood Mitigation Project for submittal under the Flood Risk Infrastructure Investment Program.
Second.
Made by Councillor Paul Morton, seconded by Councillor Larry Pinch. Put that up for a vote. Clerk Snare, please. Motion carried. Hants Shore Child Care Association request.
Move council direct staff to bring back a report with a recommendation on PID 452-85103 to support the request from the Hants Shore Child Care Center.
Second.
Made by Councillor Paul Morton, seconded by Councillor Scott McLean. We'll put that one up for a vote, please. Motion passed. Thank you very much. We'll move on to Headworks Connection Preliminary Design RFP.
Move council approve the award to RFP WHRMPW 25-02 Headworks Connection Preliminary Design to CBCL Limited for the price of $61,100 before applicable taxes.
Made by Councillor Paul Morton, seconded by Councillor Larry Pinch. That up for a vote as well. Motion is passed. We'll move on to the last one.
Move council, whoops. Oh, we still got part two of that
Oh,
last one.
sorry, part
Yep.
2, yeah.
Move council approves the design contingency amount of $11,112.59 before applicable taxes.
Second.
Made by Councillor Paul Morton, seconded by Councillor Larry Pinch. We'll put that one up for a vote. Clerk Snare. No, I think it was up there. It was up there. It was passed. Motion carried. Yeah. No, that's okay. Yeah, no work. Meeting and committee procedural policy amendments.
Nothing, no.
Oh, you don't have that one? It's on the screen.
Council direct the CEO to engage staff to make the necessary changes to the meeting and committal procedural policy RCOGE-003.00 following the discussion of council at the May 13th, 2025 Committee of the Whole meeting.
Made by Councillor Paul Morton, seconded by Councillor Larry Pinch. We're all good. Put that one up for a vote. Motion passed. Thank you, Clerk Snare. Now we move on. Planning and Heritage Advisory Committee.
Still got one more cold drive.
We already did Cold Drive.
All right, twice, and that's why I didn't have it.
So we'll move on to Upper Water Street, Windsor, PID 45056363 Development Agreement Amendment, Acting Director Fougier.
Perfect. It's just a little delayed there. Okay, thank you, Deputy Mayor, and good evening, Council. So tonight I have for you for consideration a development agreement amendment for a property on Upper Water Street in Windsor at PID 45056363. So the application was received in January from Cody Sanford, who is the president of Seastone Developments and the owner of the property. And the request was to amend the existing development agreement registered on the property. So to provide more context, the site is located on Upper Water Street and it's currently vacant and is surrounded by low density residential and nearby to downtown Windsor waterfront area. The lot is designated in Zone Town Center. And a development agreement was registered on the property back in 2009 that permits up to 4 residential units in a mixed-use commercial building. And the requested changes to the development agreement are considered substantive. So the property owners are permitted to apply for amendments to development agreements at any time. And as per section 15 of the current development agreement, the requested changes are considered substantive. And given the substantive nature of the amendments, staff suggested drafting a whole new development agreement that will replace the existing one rather than adding sort of an addendum to the current one. So therefore, a new DA was drafted that is substantively the same minus the requested amendments and a few other items that I'll touch on in the next slide. So the following is a list of items that were updated in the new development agreement. So they include adding 2 additional residential units, adding additional permitted commercial uses, which are all uses permitted in the town center zone. Updates to the site plan to accommodate parking. The parking requirements were changed. So previously 14 parking stalls were required, and now parking will be based on the number of units and the size of the commercial floor area, which essentially equals 6 parking stalls for the commercial portion, and then 1 parking stall per dwelling unit for the residential. Balconies were removed from the building design, and some small housekeeping amendments based on our new DA template and some of that language and updates to stormwater management language. So for more context, this is the existing site plan. And then moving forward, this is the newly proposed site plan. So you'll see the building size was slightly reduced on the site to accommodate that additional parking, and the property boundaries of the existing DA were found to be incorrectly drawn as per a recent land survey. So the new lot lines required the applicant to move things around on the site and move the building back. So these pictures were taken on April 2nd during a site visit. So you can see that the lot is undeveloped and it's relatively flat. It has frontage onto Upper Water Street, as mentioned, which includes a sidewalk for easy pedestrian access to nearby amenities like downtown Windsor, Fort Edward Park, as well as the pedestrian trail that crosses the highway into the Nesbitt Street area. Sorry, it's a bit delayed there. So in terms of municipal planning strategy policy, there are several enabling policies that are outlined further in my report, but these policies enable new mixed-use buildings in the town center zone with residential on the upper floor, subject to several criteria. And it was determined that the proposal meets the criteria of the Windsor Municipal Planning Strategy, given that the proposed use is permitted in the town center zone. It incorporates windows and other elements at the street level. It has adequate parking. Architectural design and scale are compatible with the surrounding area. The proposal consists of commercial uses at the street level. It's not considered premature for the area, and subject matter experts have no concerns which have not been addressed. In terms of process, we held a public information meeting on April 2nd, and there were no comments or concerns raised at that meeting or during the comment period that came after the fact. From there, staff drafted the development agreement and went through the necessary reviews. And then it went forward to PACAC on May 8th, where it received a positive recommendation after a little bit of discussion there. And now we are at council for first reading, which will be followed by the necessary steps in the approval process. And with that, I will take any questions. And if not, the recommendations are also in my slides here.
Thank you, Acting Director Forgier. Are there any questions at this time, Council? Seeing no lights. Thank you, Acting Director. Councillor Larry Pinch, your motions.
That council give first reading and will hold a public hearing to consider entering into a development agreement which replaces the original development agreement on PID 450-56363 on Upper Water Street, Windsor, in a manner substantively the same as the draft set out in attachment D of the report file number 25-04 to the Planning and Heritage Advisory Committee report dated May 8th, 2025. Taking note that this development agreement will discharge and replace the development agreement recorded at the Land Registry Office on November 25th, 2009 as document number 947-94790.
Thank you. Is there a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Bonnie Smith. We'll put that up for a vote, Councillor or Clerk Snare. Motion passed. There is a second part to that as well, if someone would like to read it.
That council require that the development agreement amendment with Seastone Developments Limited be signed within 120 days from the date of final approval by council or the date that any appeals have been disposed of. Otherwise, this approval will be void and obligations arising hereunder shall be at an end.
Made by Councillor Larry Pinch, seconded by Councillor Bonnie Smith. We'll put that up for a vote. Clerk Snare. Motion passed. Thank you very much, everyone. And we're going to move on to Peace and Good Order bylaw first reading. No problem. Clerk Snare, take your time.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Before you this evening is a draft of a Peace and Good Order bylaw. You've seen this at Committee of the Whole, but it's before council this evening for first reading and potentially to proceed on to public hearing. The purpose would be to regulate unwanted noise and public nuisance in West Hants Regional Municipality, and a regional bylaw would provide a uniform standard and an expectation within West Hants for noise. What this means, basically, it means be respectful, don't use profane, obscene, lewd, racial, or discriminatory language, or behave in a lewd or obscene manner. No public defecation or urination. No challenging anyone to fights or using abusive, provoking language, taunting, or threatening gestures towards any person. No discharge of any type of guns or other firearms or any kind in growth centers unless they are a peace officer doing so in lawful exercise of the duty of the peace officer, or hunt with a weapon of any type or description within the municipality without a license to hunt. No one may, without proper authority, intentionally damage, deface, interfere with, or remove any grave marker, monument, structure, or plant within a cemetery or a burial ground. No loitering in or around entrances of public buildings, stores, shops, or dwellings. And then there's a brief little, some information regarding fireworks and their regulations. So fireworks are regulated federally under the explosive regulations. They're under provincial legislation under the Fire Safety Act, and they impose fire safety guidelines on the use of fireworks. And as they're viewed as low hazard and restricted to recreational use, mostly they do ban the use of consumer. They do ban the use of consumer fireworks when burn restrictions are in place. So fireworks are not permitted when it is not allowed to burn, and that's under the Burn Safe Nova Scotia. Fireworks, we do recognize that fireworks can be loud and bright. So if you have neighbors, consideration should be given to them at advance notice so that they can, or you can either opt for a quieter option of a firework. Education and communication would go a long way in making a happy, respectful neighborhoods. And within the draft policy or bylaw, pardon me, there are exemptions. So noises in connection with organized athletic or public park areas, arenas, or community centers and halls, noises emitted from or associated with any industrial operation permitted by the relevant land use bylaw, emergency response personnel engaged in the execution of their emergency response duties, including operating comfort centers and emergency shelters with generators, sound in connection with the organized traditional festive or religious activities, calls to worship, ringing of bells at places of religious worship or services of religious worship. Further exemptions include any noise generated by agricultural practices within the Nova Scotia Farm Practices Board, and noise caused by the municipality, Government of Canada, Province of Nova Scotia Power Corporation, and or telecommunication companies and their contractors and employees when acting in a reasonable execution of their duties. With respect to enforcement, it would be treated the same as any other bylaw. WHRM bylaw officers will do the enforcement during regular business hours. If the matter is urgent or of an emergency, then the RCMP should be contacted to deal with the initial response and refer back to bylaw enforcement officers when required. And there is a penalty within the draft bylaw that no less than $100 and no more than $1,000, and in default of payment, imprisonment for a period of no less than 10 days nor more than 60 days. So for next steps, you saw this report at Committee of the Whole on May the 13th. We are at first reading this evening, which is May the 27th. Public hearing, if that is the desire of council, would proceed with second reading on June 27th, 2025. And following that, a notice of approval would appear in a local paper as well as sent to the province but ministerial approval is not required. And it should be noted that the bylaw, if approved and supported, would be in effect on the date of publishing. And that's my presentation.
Thank you, Clerk Snare. Is there any questions for Clerk Snare on this, council? Councillor Ivey.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Through you to Clerk Snare, if I could. The question I have is, I think that's the one that I asked when this came forward previously, and it's still the same, is that so the pre-existing noise bylaws that exist in Windsor and Hansport, we don't talk about those here except for the fact that they, you know, the difficulty with enforcement and the like. So is it the intent to leave those in place? And what I go to is there was the statement here about this being the overarching, may not be the exact word that was there, but that it would be the regulation for West Hants, which is the region overall. So what's the intent with the pre-existing bylaws related to noise? Will they remain in place? Normally we'd be seeing a withdrawal of those if that was required. Is there value and benefit in leaving them, or should they be reviewed for that purpose?
Through Madam Chair to Councillor Ivey. So when I was speaking with RCMP, there was value in leaving the current existing bylaws in place. They do have a little bit more teeth to them to enforce them. This was brought forward as a regional approach to address some of the concerns.
Thank you very much. Appreciate the answer. And I think that's more than satisfactory. So thank you.
Councillor Bob Martin.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Kind of the same concerns I had last meeting. If we look at 5.0, and Clerk Snare had gone through these, but my concerns is a lot of these are RCMP issues anyway. And I'm not sure, and maybe I'm wrong, but just kind of doing my research on bylaw, a lot of these things, I don't know if the bylaw would be trained, or maybe they will be trained to do it. But when you look at like even the first point, that no person shall use profane, obscene language, really that's causing disturbance, and the police would have to be called anyway, or they should be. The next one, don't pee on someone's front lawn. That's indecent exposure. The next one, challenging people to a fight. You're causing a disturbance. So again, all RCMP issues. There's a couple in here. I mean, the last one, no person within the municipality should make unnecessary noise. Absolutely, we need something there. I think we need to highlight kind of what time of day we can look at that. But as I read through the firearms one, the way I read that would be basically don't hunt in a growth center, but which again, that would be a conservation officer, probably not going to send the bylaw guys out there. I think it's a lot of work that went into this, and I think it's great and we need something, but when I read through these, I just believe those are RCMP issues anyway, and that's likely who's going to respond. So for that, I couldn't support this as written. We do need something. I don't know what we need, but I don't, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe our bylaw is trained to do all of these things, and that's great. And I'm totally wrong, and I'll be certainly happy to be corrected, but they just seem like they're RCMP issues, and putting them there in front of them, I guess.
Okay, thank you. Councillor John Smith.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Question around the ministerial approval. Do we normally need ministerial approval for bylaws, or is this exceptional?
Through you, Madam Chair, some bylaws do require ministerial approval.
And some don't?
Yeah.
Very good.
This is one that doesn't. Councillor Paul Morton.
I'll say the same thing as the last 5 years. RCMP are looking for this. It gives them some teeth to get a hold of something. Without it, they've still got nothing.
Councillor Yanish.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Just under the section of other noise considerations, in previous discussions about noise bylaws, we did address talk about the issue of mowing on golf courses, etc., which is mentioned here. But the other noise consideration that got a lot of where there was a lot of discussion was music, especially late at night. And I'm just wondering whether that's something that can be included under other noise considerations. There seems to be something missing if we don't include that.
Through you, Clerk Snare, did you have?
Through you, Madam Chair. So just bear with me because I have to actually pull up my report. But I do believe at Committee of the Whole, I did present the report with the number of complaints, and we had no complaints since May of 2023 regarding music within West Hants. Our bylaws never received any complaints for that. Happy to take direction, but I believe 6.23 may address that. But pull it up here for a moment.
Councillor Yanish, did you want?
Yeah, through you, Madam Chair. I might be wrong on the actual dates, but I'm pretty sure that we had some complaints about noise that may not have made it to bylaw, but they certainly were in the community, and they may have made it to the RCMP, and the RCMP said they can't respond. So I do think that we should maybe reconsider the whole issue about music and have it included.
Okay, Councillor Larry Pinch.
Thank you, Chair. So through you, Chair, in all likelihood to Clerk Snare. So I did have 2 residents reach out with questions. And one of the questions was, there's a campground back one of the developments in my district, and they hold events like weddings or large functions. And so their music on those evenings goes past, the 10 o'clock hour because it's like an outdoor commercial space that has some cabins. And so whether this would be something that would apply to them and they would have to then rearrange their events to comply with this bylaw, or if that would be different because it was for a special event commercial purpose for which their business does.
Clerk Snare?
Through you, Madam Chair. So I believe 6.4 speaks to noise in connection with organized athletic or recreational activities and music school, public park area, arenas or community centers and halls. This is a draft bylaw. It can be changed and amended, but it also speaks to people are going to do what they want to do regardless. Whether there's a bylaw in place or not, this is just something that gives another tool to our bylaw as well as our CMP for communities.
I think that they were just concerned, the manager of that establishment was just concerned because noise does come with those particular events. So they just wanted to make sure, although I have not received complaints about noise from that particular establishment in the past. And then the other question I had received was just like, if you were out in public walking into a parking lot and you stubbed your toe or you dropped your phone and you said, oh crap, but you said the other word for crap. Is there like a reasonable use because it says like profane and people are like, oh, am I going to have to be like the word police on myself? Like super worried about something that might come up in that like instance of a situation as opposed to like using it in a way directed at people. Is it just kind of all encompassing or is it like reasonable? It's like a bylaw officer's reasonable interpretation of the bylaw and the situation.
Through you, Madam Chair. My understanding is it would be a reasonable interpretation. I think everybody is human, and sometimes everybody has those little incidents. But if I could speak to the other one, communication would go a long way, as with fireworks. If you're going to have an event, like maybe just let your surrounding neighbors know what's occurring and give them a kind of a heads up.
I can definitely make sure that I communicate that back. Thank you.
Councillor Ivy.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I guess just two comments. One is to the comments about the well-being of the bylaw officers, which I think, can be a valid concern. We saw even in the former town when the smoking bylaw came in and trying to enforce that. And it became clear that we didn't necessarily have them properly equipped to deal with people that absolutely were not going to comply with what they were doing. And normally it was later, but most of their time on the street is daytime hours, which sort of leads me to the other question about if it's mostly daytime hours, do they have the ability to simply refer to our CMP based on their best judgment? No different than what I assume they do today, but can somebody just comment that is not something that we need to put a lot of weight on as it relates to their well-being?
Without tipping
Mm.
the cards
Yep.
and informing the public of when we're enforcing and not, we do not expect to change their service level.
Got it. Thank you.
And if I could further on CAOs, in conversations with our CMP, they recognize that this bylaw does speak more to like the enforcement on their end. But they did support it, and they supported the notion that there would be additional resources should the need be a bylaw for the less severe incidents where they would be needed and they could be drawn upon and used then.
That's great. Thank you. I don't think I need to address my second one. I think that's good. Thank you.
You're good. Any other questions, councillors? Being no lights, some fingers look anxious, but no lights. Okay. There is a motion. Councillor Larry Pinch.
That council give first reading to the Peace and Good Order Bylaw, RCOGE-001, as presented at the May 13th, 2025 report to the Committee of the Whole, and proceed to public hearing and second reading at the June 24th, 2025 council meeting.
Made by Councillor Larry
Second.
Pinch, seconded by Councillor Paul Morton. Will Clerk Snare put that to a vote, please? No problem. No. Yeah, there we go. Mm. Motion passed. Thank you, everyone. Okay, 14, Counselor Municipal Business Activity Monthly Reports. They're in the package. Counselors have been busy, especially with budget. Lots of great information in there. So we've all had an opportunity to read it. We'll move along to Counselor Municipal Advisory Board Activity Reports. The first one is Accessibility Advisory Committee update, and that was Counselor Remy. She's not here, so any questions for that later on, maybe we can get in touch with Counselor Remy. And the next one is the Police Advisory Board Committee update for Counselor Morton, and we've all had a chance to review them. If there's any questions on that one for Counselor Paul Morton, he is here. Seeing no lights. Oh, Counselor Ivy.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask, I mean, within the report, these Councillor Morton, through you, Chair, talks of the increased activity and speeding violations and the like. And is there anything more that that they're doing on that? Are they doing that many more, I guess, calls on the road and so on? Councillor Morton, that we're starting to see some added work in that regard.
So with COVID being over, they feel more comfortable having more spot checks. So they are having a lot more than using Kings County as well for some of the spot checks in West Hands. So they're collaborating with the other departments to try to enforce speeding, other activities that are happening to try to get people to take the foot off the gas, I guess.
Yeah, no, it's good to see. Thank you.
Counselor Larry Pinch.
Through you, Chair, to Counselor Morton. So I do know I get like one reoccurring concern, which is about the speed limit in front of the store on Highway 14. So it's not so much that the cars are speeding, it's that the speed you can't see until you're around the turn and someone's in the middle of the roadway. How do we go about advocating that concern to the appropriate authorities?
Correct me if I'm wrong, CEO, but we'd have to write a letter to the Department of Highways or whatever they call themselves nowadays and request a reduction in speed. And it is a study they do, I believe, which is not
Yeah.
real fast moving.
Okay.
CAO.
I'm not sure about
Everyone.
the study part, but I'm sure there is something there. Sorry, but yeah, it is a provincial jurisdiction.
Yeah.
I knew it was provincial, but I didn't know. Okay.
Counselor McLean.
Thank you, Deputy, through you to Councillor Paul Morton. In this report, it shows 46 enforcement tickets issued in school zones. Is there any idea how many of those tickets were enforced in the Brooklyn District School on Highway 14?
2/3.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions on that? Seeing no lights, then we'll move on to correspondence. Information, general correspondence received, activity log as of May 27th, 2025. There's 4. A, Sean Kirby regarding uranium. B, Karen Wallace, Everwind again. C, Chad Pache regarding opposition to proposed uranium mining in Millet Brook. And D, Dial-A-Ride reline on the budget. So those were in. We've all had an opportunity to read them. So we will move on to outgoing correspondence. There is none. And that's bringing us down to 17, our in-camera session. So I would be looking for a motion to go in. Made by Counselor Paul Morton, seconded by Counselor Larry Pinch. All those in favor, we'll do a show of hands. Great. Thanks, folks. We're going to go in camera. If there's anything coming back from our in-camera session, we will go back live. If not, our next regular meeting is June 8th for Committee of the Whole and special budget meeting tomorrow evening at 6 p.m. for budget, but we will be back if there's anything business wise to do. Thank you.